when I thought about this question, and I think it's an amazing program that's been put together today, I kind of have to pinch myself every morning as a VC. I'm a physician, biomedical engineer, was in the robotics space before, medical robotics space, and I have to pinch myself because we are sitting, I get the privilege of seeing a ton of innovation every week, and we are sitting in the middle of the beginning of probably 2 GPTs, not ChatGPT, but general purpose technologies, as you talked about. And, we've seen this historically. If you look at GPTs historically from say anthropogenic fire 1 million years ago with humans to the first industrial revolution where steam power allowed all kinds of transformations in human labor, to electrification and chemistry in the 19th century, to compute in the 20th. Now we have cognition, and we have bioengineering, we have synthetic biology, and we haven't really seen 2 at one time, I don't think, historically. So we're sitting in a situation where they're very complementary, but they overlap a lot, but they're also distinct. And it's amazing to be part of this because, like those prior revolutions, if you will, we're gonna see a lot of transformations. We're gonna see transformation of labor. The first 2 were involving physical labor. This one will involve cognitive labor. The fourth will involve cognitive labor, and that's gonna open up all kinds of things as we've talked about. And I'll talk about my areas of real interest in healthcare in a second. But I think, the 3 things that these GPTs in history have always shown us is that, first of all, you have this massive increase in efficacy and efficiency, whether it's, human physical labor, in this case, cognitive. The second thing is you're able to do things you could never do before. So an example in healthcare is screening molecules, as someone has pointed out. We'll get some others later with robotics. These are enabling technologies. But the third is that they change the fabric and architecture of societies. And so we're gonna see that. We're gonna see things like radiology, where 3/4 of the FDA approvals in AI-enabled devices are sitting today. Radiology is gonna change, but that doesn't mean radiologists are gone. There are probably gonna be maybe fewer of them, but there'll be new things come up, like what happened to cardiac surgery as stents came of age. There's a new practitioner that arrived, and I think we'll see that in medicine. When I think about where this will play from a cognitive perspective, I'm really excited about 3 areas. And they've all been talked about except for, I think, 1 so far. The first area we've talked about, which is the usage, and I'll mix the 2, and the prior speaker, it was amazing to hear you talk about that because I think they're very complementary. The usage of AI in simulating biology, which we've talked about, will help drug discovery. And as a boring VC, we've got to look for the short-term returns over 5 or 10 years. But over the long term, you're gonna see that on the synthetic biology front create all kinds of new things. We now are able to partially engineer yeast as a society, and that was just kind of interesting. We're not there yet, but being able to take biology and engineering from the ground up is gonna create all kinds of applications from climate or healthcare. The second area that we haven't talked about, though, are autonomous cognitive agents or entities. And I think the future should be something where a patient, if you remember the movie Her, where a patient interacts with a human-like of some kind, AI, that can help them understand wellness and their disease, possible treatment pathways, without having a physician or a nurse practitioner spend all that time all the time, so that's not very scalable, in helping them understand that. And I think we see that as the digitization of records, of pathways for treatment and therapies comes of age. I think the third area that I'm really excited about, and this is an industry I was in before, is robotics. So I think great show before in terms of AI. In terms of robotics, there's that same standard of where currently there's 50 platforms that are approved in the US for robotic surgery. They're all in the level 1 and 2 area. So there's a couple that are headed to level 3, and that's where they have a surgeon still managing the plan, I call it robotic assisted surgery. But certainly in the next couple of years, I would say decades, you're gonna see level 5 surgery. You already have orthopedic platforms that can fully automate the operation on, say, a knee. And I see this as a physician, it's gonna take some time, but we are going there. And I think AI will let us do that. Without AI, we can't do that. There's all kinds of components to that procedure that will require that. So those are the 3 areas I'm most excited about as a VC and also as an engineer. I think there are 3 challenges that are in the way of AI in healthcare, and less so bioengineering. The first is data. We've talked about it. I think that's an impressive way of looking at the situation. We talked about it in a prior seminar today. There's kind of a tragedy of the commons in terms of developing data sets which is what AlphaFold used, and I think we're missing that. So that's one thing that we need to continue digitizing everything possible. The second is we need to have the Sutton rule, if you will. We need to have pathways, reimbursement, et cetera, regulatory pathways to implement AI in clinical practice, et cetera, that are very coherent and make sense from an investment perspective. And the third I'll leave you with, which I think is the most important, we haven't mentioned it tonight, is explanatory AI. So as a physician, if we're trying to explain the outcome of an AI to a patient, we need to be able to explain how it got there. In imaging, we use a salience map. We need to have technology that we can say, here's why the here's why the AI recommended XYZ for you. These are the steps. And that's going to be a hard new innovation for a lot of AI, but that's important in healthcare, since everything we do in here from a healthcare perspective still requires the trust, the bond between a patient and their physician or provider. So thanks for giving me the time to speak, and hopefully those ideas are useful.